Good afternoon, everyone. Diane Seider here. Laura Cain and I are kind of sharing this presentation. Today we're going to talk about automating repetitive tasks in GP. So thanks for joining us, and let's get going. So first thing I want to talk about is automating your smart list. This is, I think, an underutilized setting in GP that folks don't necessarily know about or use regularly, but I think it has a lot of benefit. So on the administration page in GP, under the setup section, it's the last option under systems. Right before you get to company, there's an option and it says smart list options. What this allows you to do is set the default for the generic reports. You can change, so first off, you can select which fields you want to include in your generic report. So in my example, I picked the accounts transactions smart list. Obviously, I updated the maximum records because, you know, GP defaults to the first 1,000 records. So you can set the maximum records here, and then you don't have to adjust it each time. It will just always be, you know, maxed out. Then down below here, I can select which fields I want to default on my generic reports. I can even change the, you know, how they sort and the layout of the report. So in this case, journal entry was first in the list, and I moved series up into my list because I wanted that to be first. So then I opened Smart List and came under account transactions. I just hit this, you know, the first one, the generic with the little asterisk. You notice series comes first. You also notice that down here, I'm not limited. It's going to max out at however many records, you know, are in the system. It will return all of them, so it's not going to max out to 1,000. You know, it's one of those things. If you take the time on the front end to set some of those things up, then it makes, you know, your day-to-day processing much easier, much quicker. You know, you don't have to resort columns every time you go into a smart list. You don't have to update maximum records. You don't have to save a bunch of named reports out here. You can just kind of set the generic ones up the way you want it and go. So I think that is a good time saver. The next thing we're going to talk about, automating your bank reconciliation using the electronic bank reconciliation. So GP comes shipped with electronic bank reconcile. There's a number of electronic banking features. Electronic bank reconcile is one of them. So how it works is you set up a file format that matches the output you get from your bank. So you go to the bank website, you download a CSV file. GP has the ability to use the BAI format, which means, you know, each transaction type has a numeric code that goes along with it. That makes setting up the bank electronic reconcile much easier because it's just a few clicks and it's set up and ready to go for you. So you download the file from the bank. We set up the file format here. And so here's a look at some of the BAI codes. All of these default in when you pick the BAI file format. And then what happens is you know, would go download a file from the bank. You would save it into the same location on your server each month. And then when you go into the bank reconciliation window, it will automatically grab that file, grab all the information, clear all the transactions on the file based on the various BAI codes. So again, instead of clicking each check and each deposit manually, the system will do the bulk of the work for you. I'm going to hop over into GP at the end of the slide, so we'll look at some of this again in GP. So the next thing I want to talk about is using macros in GP. Similar to Microsoft Excel, you can record macros in GP to help speed up some of the repetitive processes. So I have a few set up in GP today. One is to run the AR aging. We can set one up to do collection queries. We can open close fiscal periods using a macro. I know Audrey and some of us use queries and mail merge and macros to import data. So you can either import data if there's not like an integration manager integration, or update some fields as well using a macro and a mail merge. And then we can automate generating reports, whether it's in GP or in MR, which we'll talk about later. So using macros in GP, if you click on the Microsoft Dynamics GP button in the top toolbar and then go to Tools and Macro, you see out here I can record, I can play one, whatever I need to do. So I'm going to hop into GP and I'm going to show you how this works. All right, so here I am in GP. Again, if I go up to my Dynamics GP button and go down to Tools and Macro, here's where I can record one. If you notice that there is a Control F8, so if I want to play one, I can just click Control F8, which I'm going to do here. So Control F8. And it's going to open the window. I have two macros that I've saved out here on my desktop. I'm going to click the close periods one first. So I'm just going to say open, and GP is running through the fiscal periods, and you notice it closed all the windows. It gives me a message afterwards. So if I go to my administration page and go to fiscal periods, you notice it did close. I skipped a couple of them, but when I did the macro, but you notice it will close the periods for you. So a couple of clicks instead of navigating out to the fiscal periods window and checking each box, you can run the macro to do it. So same thing for, I'm going to click Control F8 again. And this time I'm going to run my AR aging. So again, I just click it. There it is. So it ran in 3 seconds. So again, these are ways to help speed up the system and speed up, your daily processes. Let's go back. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is a couple of GP add-ons. And these, again, help you automate your system. So the first one I want to mention is Postmaster. Postmaster allows you to post batches. Some people use it with an integration. Other folks just let it run, overnight or whatever. But basically, it allows you to post batches. You can schedule it after hours. So, if you have a lot of batches that you need to post, you can just set those to run overnight. That way you get in the next day and everything's posted and ready to go. Like I said, you can have batches just, sitting out there in GP, or you can use Postmaster in conjunction with an integration process that runs. So an integration comes in, creates a batch, and then Postmaster jumps in and posts it. Again, hands off. which is nice for some folks. The next thing I want to talk about is for those folks that have to manually update exchange rates in GP. There's a tool that Rockton Software has that actually updates the exchange rates automatically for you. So you set a task up, and the task runs to, you choose which bank you want to pull the rates from, and it will automatically pull the rate, populate that rate in the exchange tables in GP, and you're done. Again, scheduling it overnight, so you walk in the next morning and the rate's in there ready to go. You don't have to do anything with it. Third one I want to talk about briefly is the quick payables option from QuickTag. So this helps automate AP because with its OCR capabilities, documents and emails come in. You can scan in paper documents or emails come in. With the OCR reading, it will automatically populate the fields in the payables management window in GP. Again, speeding up time so people aren't keying everything in and scanning things separately. So it's a good tool that a lot of people use and are happy with. The last thing I want to talk about is another Rockton tool, and it's called GP Smart Fill. And it is like a Google-style search tool. So you can, GP sometimes is pretty specific in its naming, and sometimes the names of the fields or whatever you're trying to look up don't necessarily make sense. Rockton has kind of solved that issue. So you can, type in the first few letters of the window or field or, whatever you want to look up, and it will find that information for you. So again, we're just trying to alert you guys to things that will speed up your daily processes. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Laura Cain, because she's going to talk about scheduling your reports in Management Reporter.
Thank you very much. What screen are you seeing? Are you seeing my Management Reporter right now?
Yes, we are.
Perfect. So another thing that can help you is I know some clients out there have pretty big reports, and it takes quite a while to run these. Sometimes it's hard to run these and wait for these during the day. So you might want to think about scheduling reports. So first off, I decided I wanted to set up a group. Maybe I have a monthly down here under report groups. You can set up, if you have a bunch of reports you want to run, you can set up a group. You don't have to, but you could set up a group of maybe your financials that you want to run. So you would just set up new, add your reports that you want to add to this group. You pick however you want this to lay out. So we'll go ahead and do that. So you'd save that, and then you'd go right below where it says report schedules. So I'll open that up. And I have one that's set up as a monthly close reports. So I can do these individually, or I've just set up that report group down here, whatever you choose to do. But you could do individual reports, but you could have a group of reports as well. I started my recurrence. You start it whenever you want. If you want it to run at night, just pick your date, and you can do it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. You can pick the days, every weekday, anything you want. I just had picked no end date. So whatever you guys want to do, maybe it's just in a certain time period when you're doing your monthly close that you want this to run because it takes a long time. That's fine. So once we have all this set up, you just save these. And again, I've just picked a couple reports. And what I've done is your report viewer, once you do it for the middle of the night, it runs, you come back, you open your report viewer, and I can just see in my library, I had this set for 1:38 this afternoon. So you just have your reports, you can open them up, view them. So this is a like I said, I know there's a lot of clients who have reports that take a long time, so this might be a nice way to kind of run those so you don't have to be waiting for them. When you come in the morning, they'll be ready for you. But you could do this with any of your reports. Again, put them in a group. You know, maybe there's 6 of them. You can do whatever and put these in a group again and just add them to your group and you're ready to go. When you come in the morning, they'll be ready for you.